We should observe the ancient ritual of traditional pre-fight donuts.
Yeah! Fear does not exist in this dojo, does it?
Am I the baddest mofo low down around this time?
Shut up!
Break, not hit back.
Silly Caucasian girl likes to play with samurai swords.
You will all refer to me by the name Betty.
I know Kung Fu.
Thank you, Chuck Norris.
I said I don't want trouble.
Only a ninja can destroy a ninja.
Defeat does not exist in this dojo, does it? No, Sensei!
Now, who wants to go home? And who wants to go with me?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Kickflix. Kickflix on the Geek Bro Network. With me as always is Nary Intimidation Signs. And Jeffrey Gurnd and Pund Merconcini. And I am Mike Twisty Mercadal. You could tell they were really trying to make that twisty thing happen. In today's movie, Here Comes the Boom from 2012. If you're watching us, thank you for watching us live. If you're listening to us, you can watch us live on our YouTube channels and on Facebook. If you follow us on social medias, the links will all be provided at Mike Mercadal, at Nary Signs, at Woobro, at GeekBroNet on Twitter, right? And
correct.
Geek Bro on YouTube. This was the 2012 smash hit. Kevin James' spectacular vehicle, featuring some people's introduction into the world of UFC through comedy. Of course, it's through comedy. What do we normally do? We got to do the IMDb intro, where we summarize everything that's going to happen, and then we're going to do the parents' guide. The IMDb describes this movie as a high school biology teacher looks to become a successful mixed martial arts fighter in an effort to raise money to prevent extracurricular activities from being axed at his cash-strapped school. That is 100% correct. Do we want to square up before we get into the parents' guide, or parents' guide first?
I'm good with either one. I mean, we could just square up and
let's go. Square up. Nary, 60 seconds. Square up. Tell us about it.
I've seen this movie multiple times. This is the second time I've seen it within the last 12 months. And the last time was not for a podcast. So I very much enjoy this movie. Not only am I a huge fan of Kevin James, but I'm a fan of the other people in this movie, Henry Winkler being one of them. And I am a fan of this movie. And when I've described this movie to people, when I've tried to sell this movie to people, I've always said, really, it's like actually good. Like that's what I said.
Believe me,
because this comes off. Because Kevin James movies are hit or miss. Kevin James, you got Paul Blart Mall Cop, and then you got, so it's like there's a wide spectrum of like movies, and so I always try to know it's actually good. Like it's actually good. This one's actually good. So this is the way I enjoy this movie a lot. So.
All right, Jeff, square up.
I haven't in recent history been more indifferent about a movie than I was watching this.
Indifferent?
Yes. I can't tell you whether I enjoyed it or I didn't. I was like, okay. If somebody were to ask me, I'd be like, well, take the premise of the producers. If you fail, you'll make money.
I thought it more like Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, 100%. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So he
square up. No, it's your 60 seconds. It's your 60 seconds.
So even worse, because it's Happy Madison that they took the exact premise from. So I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it. Like Russ Bass-Written was like great as in the movie. Like he was my favorite character. Like, I mean, it is what it was. Like, I guess that's why I'm so indifferent about it. It's the high school teacher who suddenly becomes the good guy and wants to, be good to everybody, even though he goes from 0 to 100 in 2 seconds, from being a complete prick to I need to save everybody. Like, like that was my issue. We'll talk about that later. But
We will, because I think you're wrong.
Okay, obviously.
I agree with Mike.
Well, I know you already said you love this movie, so anything.
Hold on.
Well, no,
Hold on. Freeze. Everybody, freeze. Did Neri just say he agreed with me on Kickflix?
Yes.
Yeah, but you can't. Yeah. It doesn't. Just because I like the movie doesn't mean that I can't agree with certain. I am the one that gave you the Happy Gilmore thing. I'm like, yeah, I'm agreeing with that.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm not. I don't think.
But and I didn't hate it. I didn't hate the movie. I enjoyed it. Like, and I think it was a good pick me up. I got a little choked up in some parts. I was like, oh, okay, this is
okay.
But not head choked, but like choked up. But but I was just indifferent. I was indifferent about it. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it.
Well, my square up is I in no way will say good or bad. I will say I enjoy the fuck out of this movie. Every time I've seen it, like it's like an accident. It's like a reminder, like, oh yeah, because it came out peak Kevin James, like 2012 King of Queens, Kevin James. Also, Kevin James, a fucking animal. Like, he is a monster. Like, you look at his arms and shoulders in this movie, he is like, everyone who's like makes fun of him, he's the fat guy and whatever. He's good at portraying a former Division I collegiate athlete now who's whatever. It shows that he at one point he was teacher of the year, and then he gets burnt out, and then it resparks, like this thing. Baz Rutten, I want to see a whole I would have watched a whole spin-off movie series about Nico, the Dutch guy, training people in yoga and different like just traveling gyms around the country, solving problems like it was kung fu. And this is basically like the bizarro version of the movie Warrior, which is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yes.
It's a bizarro version.
It is Bizarro Warrior.
It's like if Warrior was a comedy.
It
It's
is
like they got.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is 100% the feel-good version of Warrior, and Henry Winkler is a goddamn delight. That is my 60-second square up. This thing is a delight every time, and I forget about it. I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. Are we good?
Yeah,
Everybody good?
I enjoy the movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the parental guidance?
The parental guidance for everyone who's going to be watching this with their children. It is in fact rated PG, so your guidance is suggested. Let's talk about sex and nudity. What do we?
None. Right?
I'm gonna say mild, but I have a feeling they might go moderate because of the half naked men everywhere.
Really? You think that would be like?
Remember, we don't decide. We're level-headed people.
Right.
The half naked what? The half naked what?
Men everywhere from the fighting. I mean, it's fighting. Again, I'm not making the review.
Wow.
I'm just
okay.
We guess.
Wow,
we
guys
guess
with
what the
shirts
crazy
off.
thing.
But you know what it is true? There is an absurd level of conservatism in these parents' guides, but it did get ranked as none. There is no sex or nudity, but it does say Scott repeatedly flirts with Bella. Oh my God, I left out Salma Hayek. How could I leave out Salma Hayek in my square up? She's looking lovely as ever and is a delight, and tackles Kevin James in a thing that I didn't know I wanted until I saw it, and I'm like, yes, that's a great weird date.
Let's do this.
Is it weird? Is it weird that I feel as if Salma Hayek and Kevin James are a much more believable couple than Salma Hayek and Adam Sandler in Grown Ups?
100%. 100%. Kevin James in this movie is dad bod before dad bod was dad bod. Like
he trained 14 months,
but like thick. That is apparently every girl on TikTok wants a thick man. And this kind of like, he's a big dude, but he's like, remember when Henry Winkler touches him and he goes, hey, you're like a wall
solid.
Or whatever. You're solid. You're like, solid. That's it. I've skated by on less.
He looked great. Like, and he trained 14 months to do this, and he lost like 70 pounds.
Right.
To do this. Like,
so That 100%. Well, we'll get to it, but
Yeah.
so yeah, he flirts with Bella, and one scene tries to kiss her, and she says she doesn't want to rush the magic. I don't understand why that would be in this, but whatever. A man's buttocks is briefly and partially seen and shown for laughs. I don't remember that part.
I don't even remember. Oh,
I
I
don't-
do. When he goes to visit him, he goes to visit Boz, and he's teaching yoga.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
And
He
oh,
goes,
the
"Oh,
butt
look."
crack.
Yeah, the butt crack.
And he
Yeah.
points
thought-
and laughs at the guy's butt crack,
Yeah.
which I thought
Yeah.
it was such
I
a
thought
weird...
that person had watched the wrong movie and it was Here Comes the Poon.
Oh
And
my god. Oh my god. Well, we also
Or
see
here comes the boom boom.
Here
The
comes-
boom boom.
a naked
That's
man.
the sequel.
I wish. A naked man is modeled in a painting with a musical instrument covering his genitals. That is Henry Winkler. You put some respect on that naked man's name.
Yeah, a man.
He's in that modeling Burt Reynolds style where he's covering his junk
That's
with
right.
a saxophone. How about this? Ooh, this one might be interesting. Violence and gore. What do we think it's going to be?
It's
Moderate.
gonna.
It might be severe because of the blood.
The blood. That's what I was gonna say. Because
Might be severe 'cause of the blood.
Up in that last one.
Once again, this feels heavily skewed towards America, where violence doesn't matter; it is mild.
Really?
It says it's mainly about wrestling, so expect some intense matches with body slams and arm bars. Multiple MMA fights include intense punches and kicks, mild bleeding and bruising. A man vomits several times on another man. That
On
was
mayhem. On fucking mayhem.
like real fucking fighters. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
would you get into the ring, lose to Kevin James, and then he barfs on you, or
Yeah,
whatever?
but let's be real. Mayhem has no standards. Mayhem was the host of that Bully Beatdown show on SC.
Oh right.
So let's not his level of commitment. Like he's
I like the
out
fact
there.
that they didn't even give him the decency of a line. Not even a single word spoken.
like he
Like
just
if I'm
looked at
gonna
him.
have fake vomit, if I'm gonna be in a movie, if I'm gonna be in a movie where a grown man beats me up and then
Yeah.
vomits on me, can I get a line? I
He
couldn't even
should
give
have-
him a line.
He should have gotten a what the and then it cuts to another
Yeah.
scene.
Another
And it
vomit
would've
or
been-
another
No,
vomit.
it should have been like a what? It should have been like a
What
what the,
the
and then a second vomit.
Yeah.
I literally, as I'm watching the movie, I would have been like, he could have at least been like, "Are you serious?" Like,
Yeah. But again, that is only mild. I will say I loved the fight choreography for the tone of the movie, that it was really fast paced. It was like a lot of angles. It stuck with the characters. Like when he goes into an arm bar and the camera follows the arm, I was like, that's great. Why
Yeah.
like when they show the clinches and the grappling on the ground, I was like, this is like a template for how it should be done in movies where you can show like the legit blood and because they softened all that. Him getting his ass kicked in that final scene, he should have looked like a steak. He should have looked like hamburger
Yes.
meat.
yeah,
But
he should have looked like
he-
Martin when he went through that boxing match with Evander Holyfield. That's what he should have looked like.
a big round. He should have looked like that.
Yeah,
He should have, absolutely. There should have been more cuts and there's no, like again, it's a movie,
Yeah.
But the way that the fights were shown was like very action packed, not necessarily violent, which was very cool. Profanity, where do we stand?
None.
none, right?
Mild. 3 use. Here's a receipt again. 3 uses of freaking, 2 uses of heck, 2 uses.
Heck,
Freaking.
okay, bro.
2 uses of hell, 2 uses of ass. Now we're getting somewhere. 1 use of
Okay,
crap.
now we're-
Back to nothing. This is a fucking receipt of nothing, and someone felt the need to compile how many times they use the word heck. Is that not crazy? I'm telling you, I would love to do I would never do it myself, but can someone get on the deep dive of how of like the running?
I would love
thread?
to. I would love to have a documentary of this, like you know what I mean, like people that find like, hey,
Yes.
that's a comment, and can we interview you about your thoughts about what made you write that, like what made you do this?
Throughout
If
this
they
pro-
were able to find the guy with "Don't fuck with cats," they can find out who these people are.
Yeah,
Oh my
Remember
god,
that
yeah,
documentary? Yeah.
that whole Look, if 4chan can find Shia LaBeouf because of a contrail in a background of a whatever, they can find out who is documenting the uses
maybe
of
maybe the don't fuck with cats people should get on this Ezra Miller shit. Find this motherfucker, please.
They have already established that they are seeking help for complex mental health issues and for the murder of the DC cinematic universe.
I was gonna say the murder of cats. I was gonna say the murder of cats. This motherfucker killed. I wouldn't put it past him.
No, but this is a decent. Like, I don't remember profanity at all in the movie, and I think kids could totally watch this movie. If they,
I was literally thinking I'm gonna show this to my kids when I get home. I literally was thinking I'm gonna show this to my
alcohol, drugs, and smoking.
None.
Mild. Occasional.
Oh, they were drinking.
They were drinking.
They drink wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They
and an excessive use of applesauce.
Gross. Who makes their own applesauce?
Yeah. Who among us that are not Amish
who leaves it on the
their homemade applesauce? And my favorite was Henry Winkler's response. He's like, "Okay,
yeah."
I think you're using the wrong mic, Jeff. Make sure it's the sign. I'm gonna mute you.
Mistakes have been made.
Mistakes had been made. Henry Winkler, MVP of this movie, I think. Him and Baz Rutten. This combo is great though. Like,
but Baz is what makes that combo. Baz with anybody would make that combo.
He really, it really is. He's fucking great.
You literally opened up the fucking podcast episode with saying, "I want to watch a spinoff of the Baz character," and then 10 minutes later you're gonna be like, "Henry Winkler MVP." You're like, no.
Well, Henry Winkler MVP of the movie,
life.
But I want more Baz
lifetime achievement.
Correct.
I want Henry Winkler lifetime achievement. Correct.
Henry Winkler is the heart of the movie. I mean, like, he's the one that reinvigorates Kevin Smith to be a good teacher again, or to go do the extra mile.
Salma Hayek's had a lot to do with that.
Yes.
Titties and ass had a lot to do with that. That's the reason he faked it at first. That's why I disagree with Jeff, because he didn't go from 0 to 100. It went from like, hey, Salma Hayek's, and so let me fucking come to this guy's defense.
Right.
And then
after he climbed through the window for the 5th time because he was late to teach his own class.
Right. Again, he already and then he said that to Salma Hayek. He's like, I used to care. The system beat me down, and I don't give a fuck anymore. And Salma Hayek's, listen, man, if we could buy into Natalie Portman spending one night with Thor and then him fucking coming back from being a complete douchebag to being a superhero worthy of the hammer, I buy into Salma Hayek. He asked her on 17 dates prior to this. I'm like,
if we can buy that the UFC gives a shit enough about this to put someone up in this capacity to get, arguably, like, that's the most realistic thing. And one of the funniest moments in the movie to me is that after the first round of that last fight where he just got rocked, like fucking rocked. Like, that is the level of skill difference between this guy and a professional UFC fighter, where he's like, he knows everything. Okay, he knows the ground stuff.
Everything you taught me, everything you taught me, he knows how to do.
Everything
he does it better.
He knows it better. Everything, and like, he's like, that was good. He knows he's good. He's good.
You know what? The most unbelievable thing about the whole movie was Joe Rogan was that nice to everybody. Like, he was
buddies with Kevin. So he loves Kevin Smith.
Oh, okay.
Not only that, but he does a lot of like nice shit like that. But here's the kicker. Here's the part that makes it that throws me out. Like, I understand for the movie point, you want to have the kids there and the band, and then you especially need them for that whole thing of like, look at them, we already won, we inspired these kids, which I legitimately got choked up hearing. But the whole thing is like, oh, who did this? Oh, I called Joe Rogan. First of all, Salma Hayek, you didn't just call Joe Rogan. That doesn't work that way. One,
she was looking for what is it, MDM or whatever? What's the thing that he's like obsessed with? That drug?
Not DMT.
DMT. It's like, do you want to?
Yeah.
Hey,
we have the same. We have the same dealer. What?
Let her through.
So first of all, that doesn't happen. Whatever, fine. You want to get all right, but here's the kicker, right? He's like, oh, Joe Rogan flew the entire band out there from Boston to Vegas. Why don't you just put up the $48,000 that we fucking need for this teacher?
Right.
Hey, it doesn't matter if you win or lose. We appreciate the heart, and we're going to donate, which is like Dana White for sure would have been like, I can write it off on taxes. Yeah, fuck it, send it.
Yeah,
you know? Like right. I'll
and it's only
50 grand.
And again, it's only $48,000, and by only I mean I like the fact that it made it a realistic number, right? $48,000 is what a teacher would make in a year, right? Or plus the band and whatever expenses. So I like the fact that they made it that. But when it comes to a huge conglomerate like the UFC, $48,000 ain't shit.
Right?
Like they could have fucking written that off. And it's so funny. Like, we're gonna fly out every member of the band from Boston to Las Vegas, and we're gonna put them up in hotels, and then we're gonna let them play. It's like, cool, man. We appreciate it. Can anybody start a GoFundMe? Can anybody just fucking like this is absurd? Like, it's so funny to me. Again, these are movie tropes.
Thing.
Yeah, movie tropes that we need.
It's the thing of like every prize money is $50,000. Like
this battle we got to win the battle of the bands, or they're going to close the rec center.
Yeah,
you know that kind
dodgeball.
It's look, it's so pervasive that it's like fine, like yeah, fine, sure. I get it. It's a movie.
I don't have a problem with that. What I have an issue with is that they then showed one of the characters in the movie paying for what would he assume would be much more money for the fucking band to be there, right? Let's say the band only has 30 people, right? That's 30 people. Those flights are going to be anywhere between $500 to $1,000 a piece, plus the hotel. Like you're coming up pretty close to $48,000, bro. Like, how about I don't fly the band out there and I just pay $48,000 for your teacher?
How about I just fly out and I'm like, hey, I'm Joe Rogan from UFC, donating $50,000 to the school. You know, like.
Can I mention one thing though, since we're talking about the band?
Well, let's wrap up here real quick. Okay. So occasionally frightening and intense scenes is mild, and this is what they have listed as the frightening and intense scene. See if you agree. A music teacher who is clearly passionate about his job is to be laid off as the school does not have money for extracurricular activities. They were like, it's frightening and intense.
Yeah,
that was written. That had to have been written by a music teacher.
Yeah,
that had to be written by an adult, like that's who's lost their job. Like, you know, bro, if you're about to expect a baby, that's the most scary fucking thought.
At 48 years old,
trust me, I'm
was
from
so
fucking
funny
experience.
to me.
At 48 years old,
trust me, I'm speaking from experience. My wife getting pregnant during COVID, when I was out of work and there was no work. I know. Like, the only thing that Henry Winkler didn't do that I did was gain 68 pounds. So, like, that's real shit. Like, whoever wrote that intense and frightening scene review, it has been through it, bro.
Yeah.
He's having a baby. Whoa, calm down. It's not that big a deal. What? He's in the movie. He's having a baby. Hey, are you okay? I know you just wrote a whole list of freaking and crap as how they are presented in the movie, but are you all right? You know?
Right.
But that's it. That's the parents' guide. Parents, if you could see your way through all that stuff and still decide to show it to your kids, this movie is for you. And I feel like we should also reference that we had a little gap between episodes. Like, you know, life gets in the way and we're all separated and we're all doing stuff and traveling and things, making money. And we were going to do another movie, but then this one was easier for everyone. And I think it's a delightful re-entry into the Kickflix area of it's a martial arts. Like, there's fights that escalate to greater difficulties and intensities. There's training montages, and for us that are, you know, that we're all, you're a comedian and we love comedy. It's got comedy. It's got everything. What a delightful reintroduction to the world of Kickflix. Then here comes the boom, and I'm not saying it's a perfect Kickflix movie, but it has all of the Kickflix elements, I think.
Yeah, I'd go with you on that.
Yeah. Okay, I was
Taglines.
expecting a little more backup. Okay, cool. All right, cool.
So taglines: no one will fight for his students like Mr. Voss, and one teacher still believes in fighting for his students.
A lot of fighting metaphor.
A lot of fighting metaphor. So the movie was technically a success. It had a $42 million budget, and worldwide it made $73.1 million. So it made.
If you would have just taken 48,000 out of that and given it to the teacher,
why make a movie about it? Why
Yeah.
like just give him the money?
We were gonna make a movie.
I remember
but we
Kevin
ended up just
James.
giving the money.
I remember Kevin James promoting this heavily, no pun intended. But he was on fucking Sports Center. I remember him being on Sports Center on multiple shows on ESPN the week leading up to the movie release. It was fucking bonkers. Like I was like, what the fuck is Kevin James doing on ESPN? I'm like, oh, he's promoting it. Oh, okay, that makes sense. You know, ESPN is real good about getting any kind of sports angle, like anything. It's like even if the movie has nothing to do with sports, like you're a sports fan. It's like, are you? Okay.
This was also the time that ESPN and oh god, what is it? It's Disney as a whole was trying to balance their investments by investing in UFC. UFC was a money-making machine. Mm-hmm. Their pay-per-views were making like so much fucking money. And notoriously, Dana White was not paying anybody anything, so there was all
still isn't.
Still isn't. It's
I
all
like the fact that
profit.
you're using past tense. I like the fact that you're using past tense because it's.
I don't know all the
still
modern
happening.
UFC stuff. I've dropped out, but it was when like there wasn't Ultimate Fighter.
No, he's trust me. He's been Dana White, and I like the guy. But then again, I'm not one of his fighters. But he's been called out many times by most recently Logan Paul. Like
Logan and Jake Paul were calling him out.
And Jake Paul, he was talking shit about Jake Paul being like, oh, this fucking bullshit. Boxing is for the gimmick, and then Jake is like, I'll quit boxing if you pay your fighters. And I was like, Jesus. And nowhere did Dana say no. I pay them fairly. He goes, oh, look at this guy.
Yeah. Hey, what a clown this guy is.
What a clown this guy.
Saying shit that. What an unbelievable, unreputable person this guy is. Haha, don't believe him.
But to go back to something,
I literally at one point Dana White said, if for those of you who've been sending me this whatever, he's like, if you believe that Jake Paul wrote that, I have a bridge to say whatever, like alluding to saying that somebody else wrote that for him. It's like, yeah, but you're still not disputing the fucking claims though,
right?
You're saying that he's not the one that wrote it. This guy's not smart enough to write that.
I don't know the guy who wrote the dictionary either, but there's facts in there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got to answer to the facts. What did he say something wrong?
Hey, we have you on video robbing this bank. Yeah, but her emails.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with anything?
I had that issue at my job recently. I had that issue, and I had to be like, and it sounds like I'm a dick, but in the moment, it was. I had to ask the person, do you think I'm wrong? Or are you upset that I called you out on it?
Right.
Yeah.
Like those are two very different things. Do you think I'm wrong? Because we can take it and we can go look. Or are you upset with the way that I called you out on it or how I said it? Those are two very different things. If you're upset about, you're like, okay, if I'm right, then you're still
wrong. If you think I'm inaccurate, do you think what I said is inaccurate, or are you just upset that I called you out on it?
Right.
Like I have one coworker who got upset that I brought a gallon of white milk and some chocolate syrup, and then showed her that chocolate milk does not come from brown cows.
Oh my God.
That is
and the freeze that he just did too.
That is deep. That's like his mic drop. He just disconnects his internet whenever he says something. That's his that's his George Costanza. I'm out.
Yeah.
That is some deep cut Woobro shit that if you go follow Woobro Pod on Twitter and check us out Woobro. Fuck, I can't even say it.
Where's it? Special guest host, the Swedish chef from the Muppets.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get this is all part of the Geek Broverse.
Yes. You got to get to the Geek Bros podcast universe. Mm-hmm. Until they get Geek Bro episodes up on cinemas. It cannot be a cinematic universe, but we're trying.
So I
but
wanted
yeah,
to go back to something that we kind of mentioned. I think Mike, you mentioned it in your 60-second. The idea of like that in the or near, I think it was near where he was fighting actual UFC people or actual like professional fighters. Like the second guy he fight. Well, we were talking about Mayhem and Bully Beatdown, but the second guy he fights is Rafael Cordeiro, who that guy trained Anderson Silva, Shogun Rua, and Vanderlei Silva, who's also in the movie. Who also in one of the shots.
Steven Seagal trained Anderson Silva.
And no,
he taught him how to throw that kick or what?
Yeah.
Some kick, right?
That's right.
It's a regular front kick. It's a regular front kick. The fuck out of here.
And he didn't teach you that well because your leg
Steven Seagal doesn't even kick.
Your leg snapped.
Steven Seagal doesn't even fucking kick. The fuck out of here.
But I love that Wanderlei Silva, like, just sit next to Joe Rogan and wear this beanie, and like fighter fans are gonna recognize you, but nobody else is gonna know who the hell you are.
Yeah, the real fighters, I can only imagine. Like, it's got to be hard for them to fake it, like, because I can only imagine that at a certain point, Kevin James, who is like a big beefy dude, was just like, yeah, let's just throw punches, like or grab me, like you can manhandle, because he was like taking like, it's getting slammed to the mat. There's ways to do it that hurt less, but you're still physically falling. You're still taking these bumps, and it looked like he was doing it all himself. Like I don't know. Do you know if there was like a he had to have had stuntmen, of course, but like he looked like he was taking a lot of those bumps.
Well,
himself.
he was a state champion wrestler, I believe, in real life. But there was a little tidbit of trivia that there was one scene where when he's got him on the arm bar and he like raises him up, that they said, no, we're going to use wires for that. And he goes, wait, before you do that. And he did it 3 times in a row to show everybody, I could do this. Like, if you want to do it, like, let's do it. But they're like, no, we want to do wires so that we can control it. He's like, but look, I can do it. Like, he was like flexing his muscle to be like, I can do whatever you want to do.
That's a very real thing on. Okay. So I have been on set where they're like, okay, we need you to carry, like background shit, right? So we need you to carry this thing over there, and we're just going to give you like here's the real. There's like a real one that's like really heavy. It was for the show Magic City, and I had to lift this big ass heavy one-way mirror that we then put in place, and then it spins a little, and the shot's great because then as we turn it, this guy's reflection comes into it. Blah blah blah. All right. Doing that once is fine, right? No problem. Doing it 15 times is like, at the end, we were like, hey, how many more takes? At a certain point, one of the actors was like, hey, man, I'm sorry, because he kept fucking up his line. Or he was like standing in the wrong spot. And then sometimes the camera guy would cut and he'd be like, hey, I'm sorry. And meanwhile, we're both like, me and this other guy who's like half my size, and he was really struggling. I felt bad for him, but we were like, because he was a little older, and we were both like, by the end, like dripping sweat after like a couple takes, and they like, oh man, we're sorry. Yeah, no, we're like we take 5 minutes, and then the director was like, no, we got to get the shot. And we were like, it's on set, it's always going to take more times than you think it's going to take.
Right.
So I can only imagine after the third one, he was like, "Oh, you see how strong I am?" Okay, and then he turned. He's like, "Get the wires."
Yeah, get the goddamn wires.
Get the goddamn wires.
But you know what? I think that the fighters, like, they could appreciate that it was, for the most part, he never really was put. It was never he outskilled them until the last fight. Like, even his first knockout, it was like a cagada knockout punch that he just swung wildly.
Well, was it even the last fight? It wasn't that he outskilled him; is that he outwilled him, right? That was
the power of
I'm
children.
Just gonna go the fucking distance.
It was the power of the thoughts.
It
of
was
children.
the power of the crescendo in the soundtrack. Like, that's what he heard the music and was like, "Oh right, my cue. Excuse me.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna beat the living shit out of you."
Oh, and that whole like
excuse me, sir. Do you not see? I'm the one in the poster. So
yeah. I'm the boom that's
So-
coming.
Here comes the me.
Yeah. But okay, so I wanted to.
Can I just tell you, I love that part. in the movie. That was such a good part of the movie where it made it realistic to me. Where he goes, no, that's my song. He's like, oh, that's his song too. And he's like, no, I can't have that. Like, that's a real conversation that people would really have. Like, if the fucking fighter before me, you know what I mean? Like, as a performer, I constantly am being asked, like, what song do you want to come up to? And for the most part, I'm very much like, oh, I don't care, like whatever you know, whatever. And then, but there are times where I'm like, oh, can I come up to this song? And then somebody else will have the same, even the same artist, not even the same song. I'm like, never mind. I don't. You know what? Don't give me Jay-Z.
I guarantee you
Jay-Z,
that
I don't want to do that.
I guarantee you that they have some kind of conversation beforehand, and like the both camps, like that there's like some mediator in the middle, like, hey, what song are you coming out to?
Right.
So
yeah, but the fight was, there was a fucking rooster. There was a chicken.
I love that line. I love that line. There was a chicken right there.
I would love to remind people that Kevin James, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, is great. And his presentation and his presence is amazing, and he's great at delivering comedic lines.
Yeah,
he is
good.
Paul Blart is bad not because of him; it's because it's a bad movie.
Yeah,
he is a good comedian. He's great in Hitch. That movie is straight trash now. You watch it, it's great, but he is still an incredibly solid piece of that movie.
Is it trash? Why is it trash now?
Oh, it's all about like gaslighty. Like it's really like if you watch it now with like Me Too and all this kind of things, it's really like it ends up.
Yeah, but at the end of the movie, the whole point was that that the gaslighting thing didn't work.
No, but it wasn't
the whole
that.
point
The
of
problem
it at the end is like,
the problem is that there's that one scene where he keeps slapping him in the face. So they had it's not holding up too well.
Oof. That took me longer than I care to admit.
Literally a part in the movie where Will Smith keeps slapping a comedian in the face. Oh my god,
that took me so much longer than I care to admit.
I saw Neri react, and I saw Mike stay deadpan, and I was like, Mike,
because I'm trying to stay with you. I'm
Mike still had the loading bar.
Yeah,
Mike still had the loading bar in his face.
I had that little beach ball on Apple, the Mac beach ball that spins.
But I'm gonna agree with you guys about Kevin James, and I may be the only one that saw the movie, his acting prowess. Like, he actually can do it. He did that movie. I don't remember the name of it on the top of my head. That he played a neo-Nazi that was like, like home invader. That went to like was trying to like murder this family. Like, he was trying to find like a witness, if I remember correctly.
Little girl.
What?
But yeah, it was a little girl.
He was trying to get like a key to
That's
something.
What it was.
Yeah.
It was like a robbery or something like that.
It was.
But he's
like
a neo-Nazi.
Legit, man. I'm a fan of his. I'm a huge fan of him. I'm a huge fan of his stand-up. Did you ever see Mike his Netflix, the stand-up on his Netflix? I forgot the name of it. Don't Sweat the Small Stuff was the original one on Comedy Central,
and it's hard to find.
He did on Netflix like two. It's so good. 2 years ago, he did another one like 2 or 3 years ago now, and it was so good. He talked about. I love the fact that he talked about like, maybe I could get a deal with Under Armour. Maybe I could, you know what I mean? Like, I see The Rock has like the deal with Under Armour. Maybe I could get a deal with Under Armour. And then he asked his agent or his manager, and his manager's like, all right, well, let me see what they say. And then he called back immediately, and he was like, oh, did you forget something? He goes, no, I already talked to them. And he's like, oh, is that a good thing that it was so fast? It's like, no. It's like, this is a whole thing. But it was this whole, the way he does it is this whole thing where he was like, did you tell them that I like wearing their product? He goes, yeah, they're asking if you could stop.
That's great.
It's so good,
what?
man.
It's called Becky.
He's legit.
The movie's called Becky. Becky. I just looked it up.
Becky.
Yeah, Becky.
Yeah. But we were talking about Bas Rutten. Like, him and Henry Winkler to me were like the Steelers of the movie, and like it means it's a lot more interesting in the fact that like that story that he tells him towards the end about like what he was like, what he went through, and his injury and stuff was very similar to what actually happened to him.
Yeah. Did you watch Jeff? Were you a fan of UFC in the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, I watched it. I didn't know all the like the intricacies of all the fighters, like all their details and stuff. Like, I had friends that were like, "Oh, that guy only poops on Tuesdays and Thursdays," and I'm like, I don't know that much.
This guy only eats eggs from ostriches or
right,
whatever. Yeah,
right.
There's all that weird shit. But Bas Rutten is like in the OG UFC, like when it was transitioning to being reputable, was like known as a guy,
right.
And that who genuinely was like somebody like RG3 who had all of this heat on them, and then boom, an injury, and they're done forever. You know what I mean? Like they're never the same. And Baz Rutten was a guy who was, you know, he did like karate and he did a couple different martial arts, but it was like genuinely mixing different martial arts, not studying MMA as a practice. And that guy was like open hand slapping everybody. It was all palm strikes. So you would see him literally just like literally slapping people into victory. And he talks, there's an interview with him and Joe Rogan where they talk about like the fake karate experts, like the fake, you know, chi energy people, and they're like these people like, oh, my techniques are too dangerous for the ring, for the octagon. He's like, oh, do it to me, okay. And if you and then if it doesn't work, I'm gonna poke you in the eyes and rip your eyes out. Okay, go. Right? It's like, oh, you say, but they're like, whoa. It's like, yeah, but you're saying you could kill me.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, if I can, I'm just gonna break your arm and I'm gonna poke you in the eyes. Okay, here we go. And then they never do it. But there's a video of him and Joe Rogan talking about it. You know, genius philosopher Joe Rogan, now modern era Joe Rogan. But the idea of the time when he was talking about like Dr. Joe Rogan. Sorry.
Oh,
sorry. Pardon me. But when he talks about fake martial arts, it's one of the funniest things in the world to me, because they show like clips of these energy masters getting their shit rocked.
So you know the scene when he walks in and he's teaching the class. So Boss actually helped coordinate that routine, because his story goes that he met a guy at a party previously, and the guy was talking all this shit about all these techniques that you could do with the head stomping and these certain punches and stuff like that. And he was like, "That's the stupidest shit I've ever heard. I'm going to incorporate it into this
and do the dance and that whole shit. Yeah, it's like, so fucking funny."
So he's like, "This is so dumb. I want to put this in the movie."
Baz Rutten should, if he doesn't, I assume that a lot of what he says is just Baz Rutten talking, because he's so natural and he's kind of playing himself. You know, he's playing a version of himself. And he's very fucking charismatic, and I don't know how he wouldn't be. Some of the improvs got in, you know what I'm saying? Like fucking Paul Rudd got a writing credit on Ant-Man because he ad-libbed so goddamn much. But like so much of that felt so natural for hearing Baz Rutten talk about like, you know, the yoga and the things and the whatever and the dancing, whatever. Like it feels like it feels super natural.
Did you guys ever see the real fight that Boz had, where Kevin James was actually in his corner as part of his corner team?
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there's a fight where Kevin James comes, because he was a huge fan of UFC from the beginning. So Kevin James is in his corner, right? And he's yelling out, you know how the corner, you know, in the movie where he was like one voice, only one person yells out from the corner for whatever. So there's actual video of Boz in a fight clinching somebody, right? And Kevin James keeps yelling the same, I forget what it was, like down, or put your hips down, or something. It's just one thing over and over and over again. And you can literally hear Boz go, "Shut up." And then Kevin James goes, "Sorry."
Sorry.
Kevin James said sorry. Like he talks about it. If you watch the making of this movie, he'll and then they show the actual clip of the actual fight.
Of the fight,
which is hilarious.
That's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Pancrase.
Also,
Pancrase was the name of the organization that he fought for a lot as well. Like that was the Asian one.
A lot of another tidbit. The girl in the movie, Malia, is transitioned, and she's now a man. And she was from the Philippines when it was a she. She was from the Philippines when he filmed the movie. He was a she,
right?
So I'm gonna say she in that aspect. I respect to avoid confusion. So she's from the Philippines, has a phenomenal voice. Goes on all these Filipino shows that are about like children and Star Search type of shows where they're like, you know, showing whatever.
Yeah, like The Voice or something.
Right. And then she gets noticed by one of her videos goes viral. She gets noticed by Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen DeGeneres was the first one to bring her over to America. She's like 8-9 years old at this time, and then she then goes home a celebrity. Then Oprah Winfrey calls, puts her on her show. Oprah is so enamored with her that on their flight on the way back home, Oprah calls the fucking plane and stops the fucking plane from taking off.
What?
To say, I can't stop thinking about how great you did yesterday.
Here's
And then
$48,000.
Oprah puts her through to a famous record producer and then hooks her up with all this shit. And that's how. And then she has her own. She has a single, whatever. Now she is now transitioned to a man. But I thought it was a crazy story. Where I was can you imagine being 8-9 years old and Oprah Winfrey stops a fucking plane from taking off so that you don't leave?
What kind of power does Oprah Winfrey have that she can call a fucking cockpit to turn that plane around?
Really?
Well,
you asked that question?
It's just money. I'm saying that as a.
I think it's funny. I think it's funny because when I read it, I literally was like, yeah, that's like Oprah
it
power.
Sounds right, but
like I was sort of like, oh, I was never doubting it. I always said as I read this, I was like, that's so cool. I never thought, get the fuck out. I was like, yes, Oprah does have that power.
You just blew me away though with what you just blew me away with what you said though, because what I was gonna say earlier when you guys said to hold off was about that character. Like when she was singing at the UFC, I was like, maybe the dad's right. Maybe he needs somebody in the front. Like,
that's so funny.
I was
she's fine.
Here's the thing. I work in healthcare, and healthcare is chock full of Filipino people. That's a very big practice there of getting industry. The nursing schools there are American certified nursing schools, so they come to work. Right. So there's a ton of Filipino. They all love singing. I will make a generalization about Filipino. Please prove me wrong. Philippines is chock full of amazing
so two things I'm going to say
karaoke singers.
Two things I'm going to say to piggyback off of what you're saying. One, I work on cruise ships a lot, and I don't know if you've been on a cruise ship, but there's one or two Filipinos on a cruise ship.
That's it.
There's a couple, couple Filipinos on a cruise ship, and they sing very well. Though they meaning the Filipinos I have met on cruise ships, so I don't generalize the entire. Sing very well. One, two, another factoid to feather in your cap, Mike. If there was a TV show, a sitcom, where an American went over to India, right? And it was a call center, and then the American went over to India. He heard one of his shy co-workers sing, and then he was pushing her to like, no, you have an amazing voice. You have an amazing voice. And the quote unquote dickhead Indian person was like, yeah, we could all sing. Everybody in India, everybody in the Philippines, we could all sing. And then he's like, no, that's not true. And he's like, yeah, we could all sing. You just picked the one. Why would you you hitch your wagon to the one person who's shy about it, but we could all sing. And he goes, no, that's not true. And then the dude immediately goes into this falsetto fucking Celine Dion shit. And it's like, yeah, we could all do it. It's fun. Like this is not a big deal to us.
He
like,
did the John Ralphio
every Indian
from Parks and Rec.
Everybody in India and everybody. He literally says all Indians and all Filipinos, we could all sing very well. This is not a big like. It's not a big deal. Like
it's not even. So the guy. That's literally what happened to Journey, the song that they talk about in this movie. Is a reference to the fact that the Arnel Pineda, the guy, they were doing a documentary or something about it, and they found this singer in the Philippines, and then the Journey to replace Steve Perry, rest in peace. They're just like, yeah, you're our singer now. Like, come be our singer. He's like, what?
The way they found him is that he literally did a karaoke. That his YouTube was getting a lot of hits because he was doing a karaoke, and it sounded just like Steve. And they were like, oh, okay, that's how they found him. I saw him, by the way, in concert. I saw Journey in concert with him as a lead singer, and it was hilarious to me because one, it sounded amazing, but two, the reason why it was hilarious is because he was clearly the only person on that stage under the age of 60. Like, it was clear as fucking day.
That's like
he was jumping around like he was he was treating this as if it was 1984 at peak fucking Journey time.
Yeah.
And the others were like growing roots. The others were just like standing still, like, I'm just gonna stand right fucking here and not move and play my instrument. It's hilarious.
Nobody went to go to see Journey for the band. They went to go see Steve Perry, and Steve Perry, whatever. But I'm just saying they reference it even in this movie that there's like,
Yeah.
if you do like, if you scratch a little bit, you're like, yeah, everything I'll take. And she was good. And it was more about the other band, the band members
Right.
coming, like the whole
Right,
band
right.
section that cost them $50,000 worth of seats.
Oh yeah.
To get them.
Yeah, like that. I totally bought into it. Like, because at a certain point, you're like, yeah, this random guy gets invited to do a UFC pay-per-view. What? Sure. Everything else is like, yeah, fine. The kids, good, got it. They flew Selma Hayek. Joe Rogan, out of the kindness of his heart, paid
Yeah.
$100,000.
No, he wanted to fuck her.
$50,000 worth.
Like, he absolutely wanted to
Yeah,
try to
yeah.
fuck her. Like,
That's why she had his number.
Yeah. It's like, he was so nice.
I call up Joe Rogan.
He just when she looks over, he just starts to.
She didn't even say I called Joe Rogan. She goes, I called that guy. Oh, that guy?
Yeah,
Just
guy.
that guy? He's gonna
Yeah,
just say,
yeah.
okay, that's cool.
It's one of those things where
That's
it's
cool.
like,
It was weird to see Joe Rogan with hair. That was weird.
Right?
Yeah.
And not
thin.
the roid
Thin.
monster that
Yeah.
he is now. Like, he was like a normal sized man and not a series of ovals.
By the way,
Yeah, it's like seeing what's his name before he went to the Giants when he was a Padre. It's like fucking seeing Barry Bonds as a
Yes.
Padre, and you're like,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
weird.
Pre-roids
Oh,
Barry
no,
Bonds
as a
is
pirate,
like,
yeah.
By the way,
it's like
in
seeing
that-
Barry Bonds before he went over to the Giants. It's like, oh, that's Barry Bonds.
it looks like Barry Bonds took off a muscle suit. You know what I'm saying? About? Like, he took off his muscles because it's just a big head and they can body.
That's so good.
But
Like
either
if
way,
Barry
but this
Bonds
movie,
was filming the Barry Bonds story.
What I love is in that last fight when they're like, you have to go to the ground immediately. And then like they're like, he goes to the ground and Joe Rogan's like, oh, he's on the ground. He's really good on the ground. And I'm
he's
like,
good on the ground.
did
He
we
knows
not know
everything.
this already?
He knows
Like,
everything.
But it's like, did we not know this already? Like, you don't do research on the guy. It's like, you need to go to the ground right away. Don't go to the ground anymore. Like,
He's like, no. Like
I
it's
like
one of those
I like
things
the
where nothing's
conversation. The
working.
lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
He said the lesser of two evils.
That it's hard to pinpoint it, but like in that moment when he's just saying things under his breath, is so fucking funny to me because he does it throughout the movie. He's like, oh, there's a chicken over there. There's a chicken. Like all that Kevin Jamesism that he does, because he does that a lot in his stand-up too. That little like under talking that he does is when the two guys are arguing about what he should be doing, then Henry Winkler's like, hey, Shepard, shut up. And they're like, oh, it's a bit loud. Okay. That moment when he's like just rattled and just saying things under his breath, I had to pause it because I was like laughing so hard at just the thing. He knows everything. I said, oh, that's a good point. Like all of that little bit was so fucking good. I
even
genuinely
like when he's dizzy before the last round, he's like, wrong corner, man. Hey, yeah, good round.
Yeah, it's good round. So good.
I agree.
I enjoyed this movie a lot. I like, you know what I like? I like that, and again, this is because Kevin James is very a devout Catholic and he's very religious. That I like the fact
movie.
I like the fact that he had just a little bit, a smidge of religion in this movie, but it wasn't coming from Kevin James. When they were at the dinner table and they were praying, and then he goes, oh, and he tells a story, the biblical story of Job and how he got God's trust. He got God, he went through all this trouble and hell, and then and he earned God's respect. Like that story, again, take away the religious implications of it. It's just a morale story of you go through shit to gain people's respect. And at the end of the movie, it came true with this guy didn't want to give, like Kevin James in the first round was like, hey, like fist bump. And he's like, get the fuck out of my face. You're a fucking clown show. And you shouldn't be fucking fighting me. And
you don't have any
rounds
tribal
of getting his ass kicked. Yeah. And it's like, you don't even have a tribal tattoo, bro. What's wrong with you?
What kind of fighter are you?
You could tell the era. The era of this movie was very tribal tattoo. Gut, like
he had his t-shirt before he took off his shirt had tribal tattoos.
Yeah,
his
like Ed Hardy.
Not only that, everything that Joe Rogan was wearing, the whole movie was sponsored by Affliction in some way. Affliction apparel, that fucking the date rape of fashion. It was like you could see it was of the era, and the soundtrack was very much that, like Oh God, what the fuck is that guy?
The other song, I'm trying to remember the song that the other guy came into. He's like, "Oh, that's a good song. That's a good song."
Yeah, the I Stand Alone, but
I
I
Stand
can't
Alone,
remember the
that's what it
name
was.
of the band.
Was it Disturbed?
No, I Stand Alone. God, what the fuck is the name of that band? Because they suck.
I can't stand alone.
It's from Godsmack.
Godsmack. There we go.
That is Godsmack is the epitome of the era. That was like the moment for their band, like that era of like butt rock, fucking Puddle of Mud, and then POD, which I genuinely really like.
Yeah, me too.
Is
I actually like Puddle of Mud.
Puddle of Mud. Oh, I gotta show you. There was a series on TikTok. This guy was doing butt rock bands doing acoustic sets at radio stations.
Oh God!
And it is worse than you could possibly imagine. And they were like, to some people, it was like it signified the end of that kind of like radio station,
right?
Because it was like that bad. Where it's like, oh,
that's how Zeta died.
How almost how 93 Rock died. 93 Rock was turned into. But yeah, that was.
Somebody said, what was it that they said? Somebody, what band was it, Jeff? That they were like, oh, that's like, it was like a 90s or early 2000s band. There was like it was like the starter band for like the gateway band for like heavier stuff, but like this is the gateway stuff. And I was like, it's so funny because I forgot which band it was, but the whole point was like, if there were a gateway band, I'm that dude, that 40-year-old stoner that just tried pot when he was 18 and never did anything else. Like that's right. That's the level of rock, because that's the level of rock that I like. It's just like
what's a gateway?
Only rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I'm like the gateway that I tried, there was a lock on the gate, and like, oh, okay, I guess we're staying here. Like that's where so my level of rock is like Limp Bizkit, is like Puddle of Mud, is like all that cheesy shit that people are like, yeah, you get into that when you're a kid, but you mature, you grow out of it. And I'm like, nah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at.
You're talking to a guy who just went to go see Alice in Chains in concert.
Oh wow!
With the new singer.
Yeah.
Bush was one of the like guests on the show.
Yeah, Breaking Benjamin's coming with Bush.
Breaking Benjamin sucks balls. They're terrible. They really are. They ruined the whole show for me. But Bush opened. Well, there was the opening act. Then Bush came out, did a couple songs, and then Breaking Benjamin, and then I left and got earplugs. And
Glycerine?
I came back.
Did they glycerine?
Huh?
Glycerine?
They did.
Did they glycerine?
Bush sounded.
Did they close
great.
it? Did they close it? Did they close the glycerine?
No, they closed it with their other hit. Come
Get
Down.
the fuck out of here.
No, but it's a ballad. You don't want to
The
close on a ballad. You got
balls.
to close on.
You don't close on a slow
come
one.
back down from this cloud.
Yeah, you close on your fucking biggest hit. You don't get the fuck out of here. Listen, let me tell you something. If I go see Journey and they come out with fucking with their fucking big, I'm out. I'm done. I don't need to hear the rest. I'm fucking.
Journey closed the show with Faithfully to bring it back to this movie. That would be terrible because it's like
the Eagles closed with Hotel California.
Hotel California closes with a huge solo.
Yeah.
And it's still like let's face it, that's kind of the Eagles do not rock as hard as people think they do. They're a bunch of old men.
No, that concert was great. It was a 4-hour concert.
The Eagles, I like the Eagles, but let's just say they're not.
You can put a gun to my
hard.
family's head and be like, tell me another Eagles song that's not Hotel California, and I'll be like, look at me. I love you.
Here's the funny part. Here's the funny part. I called bullshit on that because Christy was like, when we went to the concert, Christy's like, I have no idea any of their songs. And the first 5 songs she sang, she goes, oh shit, they sing this? I didn't realize that they sang the song.
Yeah.
I guarantee you.
There's a lot of people. Elton John is one of those people where I'm like, oh, this is him? Oh, this is an Elton John song. I'm like that guy. But the Eagles, I remember you went to the Eagles, Jeff, and I remember I was like, maybe I'll listen. And I heard like 5-6 songs, and I was like, I don't know any of this. I'm like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, like
again, not saying it was bad. I'm just saying
show with Tequila Sunrise.
Right.
Just another tequila. Okay, man, we got to wrap this up. But tangentially, if you watch documentary now about the Blue Jean Committee, that is Bill Hader and Fred Armisen's fake documentary show on IFC. Fucking fantastic. And they spoof documentaries. And one of them is a documentary about the Eagles where they were like these Chicago guys talking shit about each other and being so angry. And then when they cut to the music, it was like the most pussy music that you could think of, where it's like singing super high pitch and all this. It's so funny. I highly recommend you watch the documentary Now is what it's called.
All right.
All right.
Reviews. Time for reviews. What are you rating? What are you rating this movie?
I am going to give it. Man, I kind of want to give it 4 out of 5 Henry Winkler singing acoustic POD. 4.5 maybe 4.5 Henry Winkler acoustic POD sets to this movie. It's
Jeff,
great.
What are you giving
it's super solid.
First of all, what is IMDb? What is the Rotten Tomato?
Right.
Rotten Tomato score 45% by critics, 62% by audiences.
IMDb has it listed at 6.4, which I think is not
60%.
good enough. I don't think it's good. I think it's better than 6.4.
So I'm gonna give it 3.5 double American citizenships. I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's a movie that everybody should watch, because I do think at least once, like it does have a cool message to it. It is entertaining. I don't know if I'd go out of my way like you guys have to watch it again. Like if I come across it and I'm bored, maybe I'll watch it another time, but I wouldn't. It's not one of these ones that I would immediately be like, let me go out of my way. Like I just rewatched Ip Man like yesterday. Like there's certain movies that I'll go back and I want to watch.
Ip Man. It's the Donnie Yang.
Yeah, right.
On the list.
I call it IP Man. IP Man.
IP Man.
Yeah, internet provider man. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3. Yeah, I'm gonna give it 3.5 dual citizenships, U.S. citizens.
Intellectual property man is what I call it. Here Comes the Boom gets a. By the way, it's 79% of Google users like this movie. 79% out of Google users. I'm giving it 5 overcooked homemade applesauces.
I like it.
Out of 5, man. I very much like this movie. It's not, again, it's like what Mike says all the time. It's not about it being good or bad. It's about whether or not you like it. And I very much enjoy this movie. I got teary-eyed a couple times when Henry Winkler says, my wife told me that I'm your hero, you're my hero. And I was like, and can you just imagine Henry Winkler, even if he's acting?
Yeah.
Henry Winkler telling you you're my hero. I'm like, oh my God, Jesus. Like I would like I'm the hero for the fuzz. Get the fuck out of here. I would be like, it's amazing.
That's pretty good.
I met him and he's not acting there. That is how he is in real life.
He's notoriously the nicest person on the planet.
Like there was the con was ending and he still had a line of people. He literally stopped talking to the people that were next, walked down the line and started shaking everyone's. He goes, thank you guys for waiting. I promise I'm not going anywhere until I see every single one of you. You all are great. Thank you guys for coming.
He's
and I was
phenomenal.
like, you're a fucking angel.
I've heard him.
I've heard him
on podcasts, and he is like the nicest human being ever. And he says that he cries when he hugs his son because he loves his son so much. And I'm like, Jesus, like it's like wow. And to think that him and Tom Hanks don't fucking like each other boggles the fucking mind. It boggles the mind. I can't. 2 of America's sweetest people. How do you not like each other? It's mind-boggling. But all right, to each his own.
Oh man. Well, that's it for Here Comes the Boom. We gotta go spin the wheel. We need like a stinger.
The wheel. Hold on, give me a second.
So we can separate it out.
Yeah, go to geekbro.net.
Make
sure you go to geekbro. Email us at geekbro. I'm sorry. Email us at kickflixpod@gmail.com. And then you can share screen. And then you could insert a movie that you want to watch. If you want to add it to the wheel, we could do that. Now, this wheel, because I am on the road, this isn't the one for my home computer. So this might have a couple of movies that have not been updated because this is still the link that I used last time. So if a movie comes up that we've already seen, we'll just spin it again. But here we go. We're going to spin the wheel to see what movie we watch next.
Spin that
Kevin James is adamantly looking at it. Look at
Yeah,
this.
he is very invested in what's about to happen.
Oh, we're going back. Nice.
13 Assassins.
All right.
13. Did
We're
I spell that
talking
right?
about-
No, you didn't. But that's fine. We'll go with it. It's
I know, that's why.
assassins. It's assassins.
That's how you
This is
spell
the porn
assassin.
version. This is the porn version.
This is the porn version. Here comes the boom boom.
Yeah.
That's
That's
how you
actually why we
spell
didn't watch
assassin.
the movie Gladiator.
it?
It's because I
Yes.
misspelled it and I put Gladiator. So that's why we couldn't.
We couldn't find it. Wait, are we
couldn't
talking
find
about
it.
13 Assassins?
Hey man, I just put the one that I googled, man. I don't
From
know.
2010 or the 1963 samurai movie?
Sure. I don't know which.
I'm
Well,
gonna go ahead
we're-
and say whichever one's easiest to find, bro.
Correct. Let's go with that.
I mean,
We'll update
Yeah.
the viewer with which version we're gonna watch. Because technically we should watch
the
the OG and then
2010
watch the
version.
newer one.
There's a
Okay, so
yeah,
the
there's a
2010
version.
13 Assassins version.
Yeah, we can go with
Right.
that.
That's what we're going with. Okay.
Yeah, let's go with that.
So 13 Assassins 2010.
2010, correct.
Okay.
2010, 13 Assassins.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
put all the numbers in the front.
42.
It's gonna seem like 2,130,000.
Yeah.
Carry
We're
the
gonna
nine.
watch
All right, so-
20,103 or 2,103,313 assassins.
Yeah.
I know it's hard. Numbers are hard. All right, guys. Thank you guys for checking us out. Make sure you check out the other podcasts on the Geek Bro Network that include, but are not limited to, the Pero Let Me Tell You podcast, What's Up Bro podcast, Cramocopia with Jeff and Q.
Yeah. New season's getting
and,
recorded starting next week.
Chow Like a Best with Mike Valdez. What you Jeff? You said you're gonna start recording next week.
New season. I think we're gonna start next week or the week after, the Miami Mystery season. So
Miami Mystery season.
yeah,
Ooh.
If you do an episode on the Curtis Mansion, have you
wanna
done an
be on?
episode on the Curtis Mansion?
No, we haven't done. This is the first
We have-
time we're tackling.
They haven't
Florida.
started that, but they haven't started the
Okay,
season
okay.
yet. That's
I would like to be a part of that because that is something that has come up multiple times in my life, referenced, and I want information on. I don't know much about it, but I'll be
got
the
it.
dummy and you explain these things to me.
You got it. I got you.
Let's do it.
Anyways, so we're doing that. Oh, and there's gonna be a revival of Geekmore. We've taken a break this year. Just a lot of scheduling, a lot of things. So we've taken a break of Geekmore, but Geekmore is gonna come back towards the end of the year. So be on the lookout for that. But we still got more Kickflix coming, and then that's it. So thank you guys for checking us out. Go to geekbro.net and check out the social media. Everybody's social media handle is on the screen. If you're listening to the audio version of this, check out the video version. You could go to We Live Forever on YouTube and our Facebook pages. So make sure you guys check that out.
Yeah.
The YouTube
Geek
is
Bro
at
Podcast
Geek Bro.
Network.
Geek
I'm
Bro
sorry, I was going to say
Podcast Network.
on YouTube.
Yeah. So make sure you guys check that out. All the links are in the bio for if you're on Instagram. All the links are in the bio for the Instagram bio. Love you guys. Thank you very much. That's how kicks are done.
Kickflix.